All right, and welcome to our Thursday virtual happy hour. I'm Greg Avola, founder of Untapped. Welcome to the show. It is the end of our Canada week, and it's a celebratory day, and we have a great group of guests coming on to talk about their brewery in Hamilton, Canada. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that it is October, which means Untapped's 10th anniversary. We're super excited to celebrate it all with you guys in terms of all the great things happening, including our anniversary party a week from Saturday, October 24th from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. We also have these amazing gifts or these things you can buy in our store. This is a version of our little tumbler glass for our 10th anniversary. Check out store.untapped.com where we're selling all of our 10th anniversary merchandise for you there so you can enjoy it for the party in a week from Saturday on October 26th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. You can find all the information on untapped.tv for all your scheduling needs. With that out of the side, I want to bring on my guests for the show today, Rob, Bob, and Matt from Collective Arts. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Very cool stuff. Well, just like any other virtual happy hour, the most important part of what we do is drink some beer. So, Bob, I'll start with you. What's in your glass for this evening's session?
Well, it's not beer.
All right, we'll leave you the show now. You can't be here anymore. So
well, we talked about that. This is a new product that we've just launched from a sister company called Collective Project. It's cucumber, lemon, and lime, hemp-based beverage, sparkling juice beverage, just hitting the shelves now in the United States.
Very cool. And Matt, what do you got in your glass on there?
I have one of our Origins of Darkness. So we do a annual series where we do a barrel age program, and we collaborate with some of our best friends around the world. And this one's together with civil society.
Awesome. Well, in my glass, I've got an El Dorado APA. This is from Finkel and Garf, which is a brewery out of Colorado. My 3-year-old son dropped this a few times. There's a lot of dents on this, so it's going to be interesting when you open this. But if you're out there right now, we'd love to see what you're drinking in. So use the comments on Facebook or YouTube, and we'd love to be able to hear what you're drinking. So we'll crack this one open. And
I already cracked mine. Is that okay?
You're off the show too, man. I don't know what to say to you there, but no.
We're both
we're not going to even have a show tonight. So.
Good
awesome. Well, got it all poured up here in our glass there. I want to cheers you guys. Thanks, cheers. Bob and Matt, for being part of the show, and love to hear more about it. And to you guys as well. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. Obviously, you guys are located in Hamilton, Ontario, up there in Canada. Tell us a little bit about what your brewery is all about from that perspective.
Bob, you want to go?
It's going to be awkward. Bob, Matt, Bob. So we started the brewery 7.5 years ago, or 7 years ago, actually. Was it 8? I can't remember. It's been a while. Seven last September 13th.
I'm the fact checker of the group.
Okay.
I like it.
It's I like the political debates or the president debate. Yeah.
And we started the brewery with the mandate to promote emerging artists and musicians from all over the world. So what makes us unique in that is that all our cans carry artists that come to us via a call for art, and we feature 4 per can every quarter. So if you add that up, it's close to 1,000 artists now or 2,000 artists now that we've featured since our inception.
That's awesome. And from people that may not have heard of your beers before, what are the kind of styles you guys make that either you're known for, or is it more of a widespread sour, stouts, IPAs? What is kind of your bread and butter from a brewery perspective?
Yeah, we're pretty widespread. I would say IPAs and sours. Sours are a big piece of our business, but we're pretty widespread across all spectrums. As I say, I'm drinking a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout, so we run a pretty wide range.
Yeah, and not to mention the CBD product here.
Right, exactly. You're going all across the spectrum.
I think we pride ourselves on being founded on creativity, and that's not just the artists we feature on the outside. If you're founded on creativity, it needs to be creative on the inside. So for us, we just really enjoy playing, and we'll do 60 different beers during a year. Plus we've had a lot of fun in recent years playing. We're distillers and we do gin and gin cocktails, and that's a ton of fun for us because it's very similar to craft beer, and that's all about the botanicals. And it's made relatively quickly, so we get to play and do lots of limited release and innovation. So that's a ton of fun for us.
Now, ultimately, the unique part of your brewery is the artist collaboration for the labels here. Obviously, for most Americans, a lot of your beers are available in part of the U.S. How far do you guys distribute, not only in the United States but a part of Canada? What's your distribution map from people that may not know about where you guys are available?
We're essentially across Canada. We picked sort of the most complicated business model possible. Be a brewery that's again founded on creativity. So you're always innovating. So you're changing your portfolio. You then layer on for each beer, 4 artists that we're featuring, changing 4 times a year. So 250 artists in a year, and then craft beer is it's niche, and so we're spread really wide. So we want to make our products available where our artists also were, and to amazing places we'd love to travel to as well. So we're available in about across Canada, 17 states in the U.S.
Nice,
and about another 15 countries around the world. We started this company. Bob is in Vermont. I'm in just outside Toronto in Hamilton, and so we started as a cross-border company. Decided to open the brewery in Hamilton, and but we have a team in the U.S. so as well. So we always knew we planned to be wide as far as geography.
Fantastic. Well, you definitely have a lot of fans in the chat right now. This one's from John Holt. Said, "Love Licklifters beers. Both the IPAs and the sours are really strong."
Thanks, John.
That's got to feel great from that perspective. And also one from Kristen said, "Yes, the art is awesome." And I have seen your art before, and it's great to kind of have that perspective there, to have multiple different labels and artists come together. It's really, really cool from that side. Awesome stuff. Well, as I just showed some questions out there, if you're watching the show and you want to ask Bob or Matt a question here about collective arts, maybe about Canada, maybe about Vermont, who knows? Let's hear it. Let's see what your questions are going to be like. Use Facebook or YouTube to be able to ask those questions for us. We'll put them on the screen to get those questions here. This one's from Rick, a parent, and Rick says, "Collective arts is available across Canada and very prominently in northern U.S. states. How did you succeed with such distribution where other Canadian brewers are saying it's nearly impossible?"
Good question. We're stubborn as hell. As I would say, we don't take, despite being Canadian, we're pretty determined, and we just do it with a please and thank you. But we also, and in reality, I think because we're not a brewery from somewhere trying to sell somewhere else. We're a brewery that is about champion creativity and champion artists. So that makes us more relevant in other markets. And so I think that's a sort of a secret sauce of ours and a unique way to go to market. And everyone needs, especially right now, things are a little crazy out there. Creativity makes the world a better place, and everyone needs a little more creativity in their life right now. So I think we hopefully help to, the artists that we feature hopefully help to inspire, and I know they inspire us every time we get the new series of art in as well.
Absolutely. Just to dovetail on that, another comment just came in here about how collective arts is easier to find across Europe than most Canadian breweries. Obviously, talk about your secrets there in terms of being able to be not backing down from these situations. But I think it's a testament to, we talk about on this Canada Week a lot about how there's a lot of U.S. breweries that are available in Canada, but not the inverse, where not a lot of Canada breweries are coming down to the United States. You're one of the few that we see, across the U.S. It obviously has to be part of your business strategy of being both. You started obviously your company in 2 borders from that perspective. It's got to be from the very beginning of thinking of you want to be in both areas as one, I assume.
Yeah, I think it's just being agnostic from a region. We're more of an idea than a geography, as Matt said, and being able to connect ourselves with local artists in countries all over the world has kind of given us a great footprint to grow into. And the artists have supported us. It's the thought leaders of most communities, the way trends start, the people that make make things relevant are usually the art communities. So by having such a strong relationship with them, they've really brought us into their communities, and their communities are all over the world. So it's given us a pretty interesting way of growing our brand.
Yeah, and I think we also collaborate with a lot of our friends, a lot of brewers from around the world. To being a way for us to introduce collective arts in countries or cities where we aren't currently available, and do the same. We hold our festival each year. This year being an exception, where we invite brewers from all around the world into Canada and work through all of our crazy laws to bring beer in. And we like our laws, and host our festival there, and so that camaraderie really helps to helps us be seen and heard as well.
Yeah, I mean, that leads to another question about, really, we talked a little bit on the pre-show about the COVID kind of response from a Canada perspective. How has it to change some of your business model, in terms of your brewery there? Obviously, we've talked to many brewers in the show about COVID. Unfortunately, it keeps being a topic we have to discuss. But have you guys, from a canning perspective, how has that changed your vision of how you typically operate your brewery?
Yeah, I remember the first day when we decided, when we were shutting, sending everyone home that could stay home, and figuring out what this new world looks like, and sort of that deep breath you had to take to say, okay, we need to be creative here and look at a different way at it. And the first thing we did is we really pushed our e-commerce business. And actually took the whole sales team that normally calls on bars and restaurants.
Right.
They became the delivery drivers. And what better ambassadors you have than the people that are normally out there every day, and allowed us to, keep ourselves essentially whole, and keep as many people employed as we could, and really brought that side of the business to life. And I don't think that's turning back. And I think that's huge for craft brewers in every market. As the markets get more saturated, it's harder to bring your whole portfolio to market.
Right.
But obviously your own store is a great way to do it. So the more markets do that, the better it is for craft beer as a whole.
Now, when people buy from the e-commerce platforms and they do delivery, that's only Canada, I would assume, in the areas around you. But do you do any shipping of those beers from a shipment perspective in the country?
In the US. So in Canada, again, different rules in each provinces. So we primarily do it in Ontario, our own e-commerce, and then we're working on how to do it in more markets, and just navigating all the fun legal hurdles of that.
Oh yeah.
And partnering with different retailers or third party companies to help us do that.
It's funny, the regulation there. We were just talking a couple weeks ago with a non-alcoholic brewery called the Athletic Brewing Company out here in Connecticut here. And he was like, yeah, we're available in pretty much every single state. And I'm just like not thinking to myself, like, holy crap, that actually could happen from that perspective. Then I realized it is not alcoholic, so there's a lot less legislation from those perspectives. So, I think a lot of rules and regulation will probably change because of COVID and the things that have happened from it. But it's good to see you guys are able to pivot and kind of go down a different route to kind of satisfying and keep afloat from that side on that front. So very cool stuff. We'll shift a little bit to another question from Kristen, talking about your artwork here. This is the one that's been asked a lot in our chat here. How do you decide which art to put on which beers? Are there any instances where art is submitted but can't be used?
Good question, Kristen. We have on our website, you can go and we have a laundry list of things that the TTB in the government of Canada does not want to see on a beer can.
Or TTB in the US.
In the US and the government of Canada. So we do a quarterly call for art, and we accept artists or accept work from anybody that's of drinking age wherever they are. Right. And once that art is submitted, we have a jury that's selected for each submission. We don't like to use the same juror twice. We don't want any bias to what our art looks like on a can, but we do use jurors that are well known in the art community, the beer community, the arts community, the music community, and they choose the labels, or they choose the artwork that's going to appear on the labels. So in a sense, it's really taken out of our hands, given to experts to select the beers or select the work that's going on the beer cans. So that way, it just, it's really a good temperature check or a good read on what's happening in the world this month in the world of art.
Yeah, and our most recent call, which I believe just closed, is our Amplified Voices call, which we're really excited about, which is a themed call. And it's to, when you're founded on creativity, inherent in that is diversity, inclusiveness, social justice. Right. And again, with everything that's happening in the world, we feel that it's inherent on us and the craft beer community and other industries to have a voice. And so for us, really, Amplified Voices is really championing diversity, inclusiveness, social justice, championing marginalized groups. And so we put that call out, and we've had an amazing reaction from artists around the world, and we're really excited. That series will launch in January. But again, that's very much out of our hands, and very much putting the voice counting on those curators to have the appropriate voice. And it's on one hand, it's a scary thing to do because we have opinions. And they will have opinions. Right. It feels like the right thing to do is that we need to have those opinions and be a champion for good.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. If you're joining us late, we're talking to Bob Russell and Matt Johnston of Collective Arts Brewing up in Hamilton, Ontario. They are our last part of our Canada week. We're talking to Canadian breweries and influencers. If you have a question for Bob or Matt, we'd love to hear it. I'd love to put it up on the screen, make them squirm a little bit, make it all fun. It's Thursday, kind of close to the weekend, so we can do that. So please ask on your network, whether it's YouTube or Facebook when you're watching. We'd love to answer your questions here on this front. Ultimately, one of the things I think is very unique about your brewery and being able to access the United States is the wide range of flavors that you guys have within your brewing process. When you guys started the brewery, was there an intention or maybe a inspiration from any U.S. or Canadian breweries that maybe kind of drove your style, or was it more like we got this idea of collecting people with the arts side of things, and that's where we're going to lead from a brewery perspective? Which one kind of tore in the tip of the scales for starting the company?
That's a good question. I would again probably side right down the middle that it's Bob and I both have a bit of a disdain for the status quo and a love for all things experiential and creative and new and really challenging things. And I think that went for the beer as well as the brand and the art. And so we actually sat down together and we had worked together not at the same company but indirectly, and talked about starting our own. And really we spent a day together and really wrote the sentence that is really what Collective Arts is all about, which is that fusion of craft, the creativity of craft with the inspired talents of emerging artists. We really wrote that, and not just like it felt like home. That's a purpose and a passion to get up every day and drive us forward. Bob and I are both home brewers, but not scale brewers. We have, Ryan Morrow, a brewmaster and a partner and amazing at what he does. But for us, it was really about bringing that, the collective of people together to bring the idea to life.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Probably it's difficult to stand out today on the shelf, and it's difficult to have a story and a purpose. But you can stand out on the shelf, but if the beer isn't any good, people aren't coming back. So I think bringing innovation to kind of the inside and the outside, as Matt's already said, is key to what we're doing. We are a disruptive brand, and we intended to be a disruptive brand that way. But, people will only pay attention to you as long as your beer is excellent. And we have a great team of brewers that make our products, and we have the world's art community behind what we do. So it's a pretty good situation to be in.
Great combination from that perspective there. Speaking of the art, this is a great quick question from Chloe. How many art submissions do you guys get on average when you're looking at these quarterly releases?
Probably between 2,000 and 2,500 on the average. The new one, the Amplified Voices, I think we've gotten more, obviously timely subject, but on the average about 2,000 to 2,500.
Crazy amounts of art. That's a long time to sift through all those and see which ones are right. So,
and it's worth noting we will also do outreach ourselves. So,
right.
Whether it's for the art that we put on our gins, that we go out to artists that we love, we may have worked with, we may not have, and we actually curate the work and for those. And then we also do, especially when we do, we have a MORE program, which is our cause-based initiative, and we do one around Pride, one around International Women's Day. We've done others to support the hospitality community, and in those cases, again, we reach out to artists generally from within those communities, and then it's a full circle, and we're able to they really represent those communities as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, and as we've grown, we've been able to do more and more of this. So we also have a product called Audiovisual that we marry a gig artist with a record label, and we take 4 of the artists from the record label, have a gig artist interpret those artists through art, and that becomes a series. So we recently did one with EQ Distribution, which is Rock Nation's sort of feeder. We've done one with Mom and Pop Records. We have a current one with Black Box Music, and it's a great way of integrating, great art that we've curated, that we've commissioned with emerging musicians.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like the visual artists are hard to be seen,
right.
Musicians, it's that much still really hard to be heard. So if we can be a source for discovery, that I'm a music junkie, and much of our team, and so we're always searching and everything. So if we we look for sources like ourselves to find it, and some of my favorite new bands have come through that.
Absolutely. Let's get another question here from the chat on the board here. This one's from Heather. Heather, what made you decide to open up a second location in Toronto, and what do you foresee to do with the space?
Toronto is, it's our largest market. Hamilton is where our brewery is, which is, for those who don't know, it's about 40 minutes down the road. So for us, Toronto is really important to us. We love the city,
right?
And we've always operated off of one brewery, which is a slightly larger brewing system. So this actually gives us a much smaller brewery that we can play with and really just play and innovate, and do lots of small batch releases. And so that's what we'll do. And it also gives us another touch point and lighthouse for our brand, for people to engage with us, enjoy all of our products. It's not that easy. We have a fairly controlled market, and so it's not that easy to have your whole portfolio available somewhere. So this gives us the ability to have that in Toronto.
Sounds good. Well, speaking about laws and regulation, I love when these questions come up on the chat because someone's paying attention. Edward asks, what's the biggest law differentiating distribution in U.S. versus Canada? I've been to Canada, and alcohol is more expensive. Canadians have laws to affect price.
Again, we have a lot of differences province to province, but generally, yes, there is some floor pricing. But a lot of it is, tax. We have a fair bit of tax on our alcohol. That's probably the biggest driver on price point. As far as rules, again, we have a lot of much more controlled markets where there's only a lot less independent stores. We're starting to see more and more of that show up, and really the biggest challenge is, especially when there's so many craft brewers, is how do you there's times where for our ciders or some of our limited release beers, the only place we can sell them is out of province. Historically, or our own tap room, there was no other retail stores we could do that in. That's starting to change, and that's going to do a big service towards continuing to grow the craft community.
Sounds good. Great answer there. We got a lot of questions in the chat, so hopefully we can get through a few of these before the end of the show here. This one's from Adam, and Adam says, coming to the holiday season, if you're giving a beer as a gift, what would it be? We'll keep it at home here. Which one of your collections here would you kind of give as a gift from a holiday perspective?
I'd go Origin of Darkness all the way.
There you go. You heard it here first. That's what you're going to get in your stocking if you are a good person there. So
keep you warm in the winter time. They're all over 11% alcohol. And this year we our collaboration partners are Pohala out of Estonia, Microphone out of Chicago, McKellar, and Civil Society out of Florida. So we, 4 amazing brewers from around the world that we're really proud to partner with.
And Cascade.
Oh, and Cascade, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Another question here from Dan. If you could collaborate with one band, who would it be?
Oh, Dan.
We know Dan, so we can pass on his question. And he's no relation to me. Same last name, no relation, despite what he tries to tell people. Right now, my answer would be Anderson Pock. I think he's amazing. He's relatively single-handedly bringing back R&B, an amazing fusion of sort of hip hop and R&B.
Well, Dan won't be surprised that I say the Grateful Dead. So.
Very good question, though. You have to ask these things. So Dan, you got your check mark off. You're all good, and pat your boss on the back. You did the right thing answering that question there. So ultimately, one of the things we try to do with our show here is kind of give users and viewers a chance to kind of experience the beer culture in different areas. How would you describe your brewery at 7 years later and the growth of craft beer in your area? Obviously, you had to be one of the first and early ones in the Canada area, but how has it grown over the years in Canada when you see other breweries pop up? What are some of your other favorites you like to visit other than your own?
Great question. Yeah, Canada's again, we kind of keep to ourselves. Most Canadian breweries stay in Canada, and so people haven't been as aware of the craft beer scene in Canada. But it's kind of mirrored that of the U.S. There was that first generation movers. That were were around for almost a decade, and then all of a sudden there's another wave. We were part of that sort of second wave, I would say, and right behind us there was a ton of brewers, a lot of great brewers. Locally, some brewers in Ontario that people should check out. Obviously, Bellwoods, Left Field, Great Lakes. There's some just amazing brewers who really push the limits.
I'd like to give a shout out to my friends at Matron. We love those guys up in Edward County, and a small brewery called Half Hours on Earth do make amazing beer as well, and Blood Brothers, of course. So we have a lot of favorites, and sorry we didn't give everybody's name, but we love drinking all your beers, though.
That's fantastic. Well, let me go back to the chat here for one more question or a couple more questions here. This one's from Joe, and Joe asked, would you buy a used brewery building again? I guess there's a story behind this, and maybe I'm not familiar because he posted it a few times and said that it's a wonderful story. I hope that you guys can share. Maybe there's a backstory here. You guys can share me in on this one.
Which one, Joe?
We've done it twice. I can speak to the first one. So the brewery Hamilton is a city of about 600,000 people. Did not have a brewery. Probably the largest city, as far as I was aware of in North America, that didn't have a brewery. When and the previous brewer that was there was bought by Labatt or ABI with the intention, essentially, of shutting it down. And they did everything they could to make it very difficult for another brewery to show up. So they, sent all the equipment off and chopped it up for scrap, and basically put concrete in the drains, did whatever they could. And we naively came into the space thinking that, we could leverage some of what was there. And the reality is it was actually harder than going to a greenfield site. And it was challenging, but there was, the part I will say is there was soul to the site, and there was a void in the city. And so I'm happy. I think we're happy we went there. It was a lot of work and a lot more, time and money. But, the day we started construction and announced we were going there, people would literally come knock on the glass And we had opened the door and said, "Hey, it's going to be a long time before you open this." Every one of them just said, "We're just really happy you're bringing beer back to Hamilton."
Mhm.
And then, and that was really nice. And then the day we opened, those same people came in and said, "We don't know what the hell craft beer is. So give me everything you got and I'll learn to like something." And it was just amazing amount of love that we got from the city. So, we think that was great. And there's now, I think, 5 other breweries in the city, and they're all, amazing brewers that we make sure when people come in to see us, we send them to those breweries as well. And then our Toronto brewery is also was a brewery that had decided to shut pre-COVID, and I guess I'll say the same thing. There's a lot of surprises you get when you take over an existing space. So it always takes more money and time and patience than you think it's going to. But all in all, it's great.
It looks like Joe was talking about the old Hamilton Lakeport Brewery building. So. That's what he was talking about before, which he confirmed as well. So, Joe, you got your wish. Your question was on there. Thanks for asking it, and I do think that's a great story as well from that side. Want to give you guys an opportunity. Thank you very much for being part of the virtual happy hour. I know I had a great time learning a little bit about what you guys are doing. I've been a fan of your products for a long time. I never really knew the deep side of some of the artistic stuff that you're working on. So it's great to hear that. But want to give you an opportunity at this point to kind of give any shout outs that you want to give people finding the internet, any social stuff, anything you want to tell the community that's watching today about your brewery.
Look for a new release coming in next week. It's our Vote cans, VOTE, coming into all the U.S. market. So it's on Life in the Clouds. So support that. All the portions of the profits are going to the ACLU.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Matt and Rob. Bob, has been fantastic to chat with you this evening. It's been a great learning about all the stuff you're doing, and thanks for being part of the show. Yeah,
thanks, Greg. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate it. It's been our Canada week. We're excited. We're sad that it's over, but we're happy that we got a chance to share some great initiatives from people all across Canada as well. If you want to see an upcoming Canada or another country week, let us know and contact us at media@untapped.com. And just a friendly reminder again that Untapped is celebrating 10 years of being operating as an app. It's been pretty crazy. And to celebrate, we're having a special party on October 24th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're going to have a great group of guests coming in. You can go to untapped.tv and check out the schedule of all the events that are happening. And if you want to stock up from a gift perspective for the holidays, or maybe even just for the show, we are selling our 10th anniversary merchandise, as you see there. And I'm also wearing a Remember My First Check-In beer shirt here at store.untapped.com. Check it out there. You can get a percentage off of your order by using the code UNTAPPED10 at checkout. And we'd love to see you there on October 24th, virtually, of course, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here next week. Check out untapped.com/TV for all the scheduling information for next week's events. See you later, guys. Have a good one. Cheers.